All right, everyone, welcome back to the Beans No Ball podcast. I'm David, that's Christian, and let's get episode 5 started right here.
All right, you guys know the drill. We're going to be going over the Week 3 recap and the Week 4 preview. So let's start off as usual. Steelers at Browns. That was another really, really bad game by Mitchell Trubisky. It just shows that Kenny Pickett needs to start. You know, they were doing fine the first half. They were up 14-13, and in the second half, they just completely collapsed. The Browns took over in the fourth quarter. Jacoby Brissett leading them down and going for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns. Nick Chubb doing what Nick Chubb does, 23 carries, 113 yards, and a touchdown. Nick Chubb's looking phenomenal. Amari Cooper, too, looking really, 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 really good with another 100-yard game and managed to get another touchdown. So, you know, Browns are really blowing away my mind so far this season. They're 2-1. I'm not too sure. Where do they stand again in the NFC North?
I'm pretty sure they're on top right now. The Ravens are 2-1 also, but
I think they're second. I think, yeah. Well, whatever, yeah.
No,
second or one doesn't matter, but yeah, Browns really
win, yeah.
They've shocked me that far.
It's like you're saying, the Browns are kind of surprising a little bit. I mean, you would have thought with Jacoby Brissett they're gonna like struggle a bit to start, but I mean he's proving some doubters wrong here, and I mean when Deshaun Watson comes back, I mean we'll see how that goes. But I mean honestly, I mean all the legal stuff aside from him, I mean he's probably gonna really make this team better, and who knows, maybe he can help the Browns sneak into a playoff spot.
Yeah, you know, I've always liked Jacoby Brissett. I've always thought he was like for a good backup quarterback, starting quarterback. I've had some doubts, but so far in these 3 weeks, he's been proving to himself that he can probably be a starter on another team. But as long as Deshaun is out, hopefully he can get the Browns up to a good record until he comes back. And you know, Nick Chubb and Amari Cooper, really carrying this offense right now, other than Brissett. But you know, and then on the Steelers side, you know, I had my hope for Mitchell Trubisky, but as of right now, he's missing a lot of open receivers. Kenny Pickett was open on one play and he just didn't miss them. You know, you can see
that catch.
Yeah, you can see that little tantrum he did. Even the coaches, man. Even the coaches were getting.
And I mean, look, I mean, it's like you say. I mean, all the jokes aside from him, I love Trubisky. I'd love to see him succeed. It's just another thing. It's like Baker or a bunch of those quarterbacks. I mean, you'd like to see him succeed, but it's just, I mean,
it's hard
to slip, so it's hard here and there.
Yeah, it's just hard to
Yeah, I mean, moving on from there, we'll start the Sunday slate with the Texans at the Bears. I mean, this was, pretty average game, honestly, from both sides. I mean, it was going to be a toss-up at the end of the day. Both teams were looking, as I said, average. The Texans had the lead going into half, 14-13, and they had a chance to. I mean, it was tied 20-20, and Davis Mills looked like he possibly could have driven them down and gotten them the game-winning drive, but he threw an ugly interception to Roquan Smith, and that had him in the field goal range right away. So the Bears didn't really have to do anything, and they just milked the clock to get the 23-20 lead with a game-winning field goal. It's just, I mean, honestly, it gets Roquan's trade value up, and I mean, yeah, I guess it could help the Bears if they do end up moving on from him, because he obviously wants out. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, in the end, I mean, a win's a win for the Bears. So they're 2-1. I mean, they're looking all right.
Yeah, man. I mean, in my opinion, I didn't think I didn't think that this would have been that close of a game. You know, I would have expected, you know, maybe like a 10-point game, maybe 15 by the Bears. You know, but the fact that the Texans were able to put up 20 against the Bears, 20 alone. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Texans, I mean, they have been doing, I guess, somewhat, but, still, they're 0-2-1. I mean, David Mills, I never really how do I put this? I never, hated David Mills, but I don't think I like David Mills as a starting QB, you know? Yeah. He's been doing fine, but, as of right now, the Texans aren't looking good at all whatsoever.
Yeah, it's just ever since the Deshaun stuff, obviously, he just got thrusted in, and, I mean, you would think they're still in a spot where they're gonna want to move on eventually, but I mean, respectively, he's a good placeholder, if you want to say it. I mean, obviously they're stuck in either mediocrity or a bottom feeder, and I mean that's kind of what's good for them right now.
Yeah, I mean he kind of just did get thrown in there, he did just get it thrown in there after the Deshaun stuff, but other than that, I mean Bears looking good right now. Texans still got a lot to cover. I don't expect them getting at least maybe 8+ wins. So let's move on to the next game, the Raiders at the Titans. This was another heartbreak by the Raiders, just losing by 2 points in the fourth quarter. By I don't know what else to say, man. You know, Devontae Adams, I thought they could have used him. He's been doing well. Don't get me wrong, he's been doing good. Absolutely. But I mean, man, that Raiders defense just be selling him sometimes. Derek Carr under pressure, can't really do much. You know, it would have been game, but you know, Tennessee drew a flag. Well, I think it was holding. You know, that gave him the first. I don't remember, but it was a flag that gave him a first. You know, they got the touchdown, but couldn't get the two. That throw by Derek Carr, I mean. He threw it a little. He underthrew it a bit to I think it was the safety or the linebacker. But yeah, it was just an ugly throw that completely missed. I think it was Darren Waller, right?
Yeah.
Could have possibly tied the game with Darren Waller, but he just underthrew it just a bit. You know, a heartbreak, really big heartbreak.
Yeah, but and I mean, it's just you really expect more from the Raiders. I mean,
yeah.
We'll see. Well, I mean, the first two you think they played like really good teams and like you understand that, but. I mean, coming into this game, the Titans just looked awful, really.
It did.
And, I mean, obviously, it's like what we've both been saying about this Titans team. I mean, they can only go as far as Derrick Henry takes them. And, I mean, it's not the best for him, but 20 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown, that got him. I mean, that got me a solid amount of fantasy points in the end there. But, I mean, he had a solid game, and in the end, that helps the Titans play good. So, It's just the regular the way the Titans roll, and just the Raiders couldn't hang there. I mean I don't really know what else to say about the Raiders. They have a tough schedule, obviously, so that's what's hurting them. But I mean we'll see what McDaniels has going for them, what Carr and Devontae can change here.
Yeah, I don't think McDaniels is a good coach, you know, especially when he took over at Denver.
I would have liked to see him keep Bisaccia, honestly.
Yeah, when was it when he took over Denver? Was it 10 or 11? I mean, 2010 or 11? I don't remember. It was one of the early 2010s. I'm not too sure. Well, I'm not too sure, but, you know, I don't know why the Raiders thought he would be a good coach after that coaching job after that head coach job at Denver.
Just the reputation he keeps. Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. He was a good offensive corner with the Patriots, but, you know, most corners aren't good at head coaches.
That's mainly,
yeah,
it's just behind Belichick and Brady. So,
yeah, you know, Raiders being the only team, really bad for them. You know, adding Devontae didn't really seem like a good idea. Not a good idea. It didn't seem like it could help them right now. You know, I think Devontae's probably regretting leaving Rodgers, but as of right now, you know, Raiders, same old Raiders.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's move right on from that to probably one of our biggest shockers of this week. The lowly-looking Indianapolis Colts got the better of Mahomes and the Chiefs. I mean, Mahomes didn't even have a bad game. He had one touchdown, but still 262 yards. That was fine. And even with Jonathan Taylor not really having like too good of a game,
he only was able to get 1 off 21 carries. You know, not bad, but it's not
even from the start, it's just like Matt Ryan. He looked bad. I mean, he was getting those turnovers. He wasn't hitting his receivers, but it's just the Chiefs let him stay in it, which is just something you don't see from them. Even at halftime, it was a close game, obviously, and I think Mahomes wanted to keep driving him into field goal range, and Bieniemy kind of wanted to just run the clock out, and you saw them arguing on the sideline. It's just looks like a little bit of turmoil going on there. I mean, you never know, but it's just it's really shocking to see the Chiefs go down. I mean, it comes down to either, I mean, the Chiefs had a lowly game, or the Colts are actually starting to figure this out. And I mean, maybe Matt Ryan could be the answer, and it was just a slow start. But I mean, we'll see from here. I mean, this is a pretty eye-opening game here.
Yeah, well, it was a very eye-opening, really, really big. Man, I was shocked when I saw that the Colts won. You know, maybe this could be also an eye-opener for the Colts, showing that they could still get in there. You know, even record 1-1-1. It doesn't look too bad, but I mean, again, it's not a fancy record, but you know, a big win over the Chiefs. You know, that should be some good heart on the team. But you know, Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are gonna I don't think the Chiefs are gonna be hurt by this loss. Going forward. But you know, the Colts, I still have my doubts on the Colts. You know, I don't think Matty Ice could lead them more, you know, especially with the turnovers and like not hitting his receivers and all that stuff. Really, really bad. You know, if JT can get going, but you know, it all relies on Matt Ryan, to be honest. So moving right along, we have another fascinating game. The Bills at the Dolphins. Dolphins came in clutch, with that touchdown in the fourth quarter. But yeah, and then the butt fumble. Let's talk about that real quick. The butt fumble. The butt punt. I'm sorry. There you go. The butt punt. That was funny. I'm not gonna lie.
That was something, man. I mean, you knew they were gonna have a struggle right there
they were like one to punt it back at, like in the end zone, man. That was funny. Don't get me wrong, but the Bills, those were the only points of the quarter, the 2, but the Dolphins came back and got the 7, right? Josh Allen didn't have a bad game either, but they had that practice squad defense. Who was out? I think it was Micah Hyde, right? That was out.
Yeah, they had a lot of.
Yeah, Mike, that was a big loss to the secondary. Josh Allen also in the run game did good too. Jalen Waddle, 4 catches for 102 yards. So he's doing really, really good. I'm really loving Jalen Waddle, and then Tyreek Hill over there. Those two, they're monsters, man. Really big to the receiving core for the Dolphins. But I mean, Dolphins are 3-0. Kind of happy for them, Tua's finally proving the haters wrong. Finally, everybody's like rooting for Tua now after talking smack about him for the past couple years. Bills, I wouldn't be too worried about this loss. Their defense wasn't there, but still, I mean, the fact that they kept it a 2-point game, that says a lot. But right now, Dolphins 3-0. Happy for them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we both took the Bills because, I mean, obviously we knew it was going to be a pretty close game, but I mean, you just see everything, just how the Bills have been performing. I mean, you would think they would just like run away with it, right? But this says a lot about that Dolphins defense. They stepped up when they needed to. I mean, sure, say all you want about the Bills defense not being there, but you look at the other matchup that was important to look at, and that's the Dolphins defense really silencing Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and just that high flying offense. So I mean, obviously, I had seen them as a 7 seed. That's changing as we go. I'm pretty sure both of us see a difference there. And I mean, they could challenge the Bills to win the division. And I'm pretty sure both of us could see that happening. But I mean, pretty much the same as you. I do see the Bills just bouncing back, probably just not really rolling over competition, obviously, but they'll bounce back, obviously.
Yeah, they should worry about this loss.
Yeah, so just moving right along from that game, a really great game. We got the Lions at the Vikings. Just another you would have expected. I mean, sure, the Vikings to have a solid game here, and just the Lions, they always hang in there. They had a lead late, but they allowed 2 touchdowns at the end to just choke a lead. I mean, we both took the Vikings, and it was looking a little grim at first. I mean, Goff had a respectable game, 277 yards and 1 touchdown. And, I mean, they let Amon-Ra St. Brown, just the guy that's just making a name for himself this season as it looks. That's looking like a pretty solid connection in this the early going of this season. And, I mean, it's just more that, I mean, we'll see how it goes with the Lions, because obviously they just keep looking like that poor little punching bag story. They're just, I mean, they're getting there, they're close, but they can't
finish.
Yeah.
Especially the way the Lions have been playing. They've been putting up points, man. They've been putting up 20+ points a game so far. The Lions are starting to be the most likable team in the league. Jared Goff not looking too bad either. Had a 277-yard game and a touchdown. Reynolds too, just shy of 100 yards. He went for 6 catches, 96. I low-key thought Lions could have possibly came back, but Captain Kirk doing what he does and leading to the comeback against the Lions. Even though Kirk sometimes, he has his bad moments, especially on primetime. But it was a very, very good game. And then let's not forget about Justin Jefferson getting shut out. Bro really sold me on fantasy, man. He sold me on fantasy. Jeff Okudah, I think Okuda's, however you pronounce his last name. He locked the ball back.
But hey, I mean, respect.
Yeah, I thought Okudah was gonna be a bust, right? But his injuries caught up.
He's not living to that expectation. I mean, it's good to see him have a couple good games here and there.
Yeah, when I saw Jeff Okudah, I liked Jeff Okudah. I thought the Cowboys were gonna draft him. That was one of the top prospects for us, but he went to the Lions. I'm like, damn. And then he's been having some bad games, since he's been in the league. But he locked up Justin Jefferson. That's probably a good sign for the Lions right now. You know, the secondary could probably come up right now. Jeff Okudah could possibly be leading for that. But as of right now, you know, the Lions, another heartbreak loss. Wasn't a bad loss, only a 4-point game, but I still expect a lot from the Lions. I expect a good season from them. So, other than that, moving right along, we have another game. The Ravens at the Patriots, you know, Lamar Jackson, you know, doing what he does. Five total touchdowns. And then let's talk about Mac Jones real quick. 3 interceptions. Mac Jones, and then now he's injured, right? He's out for a couple games.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna
hurt the.
It's gonna be hard for the Patriots, and I mean he had a great game. I mean, 321 yards. Sure,
yeah.
I mean, he had 3 interceptions, which that's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I mean they were hanging there and they had the lead for a good while, but it's just I mean the Ravens stormed back. It's just you know. As I had said, they were gonna bounce back after that loss last week. That I mean, pretty humiliating comeback loss. And I mean, it's Lamar. You know, they say what they want about him, but he's a great quarterback. He's a former MVP in this league, and I mean, the stats speak for themselves. I mean, a great game from him. I mean, even just running the ball, 11 carries and 107 yards and a touchdown there.
He broke the record too. No, pretty sure he broke the record too. Was it Mike Victory? Yeah, I think so. But other than that, like the another play that did surprise me too was Devontae Parker, man. 5 catches for 156 yards. I was kind of happy seeing Devontae Parker play good again. You know, I've always loved him since he was on the Dolphins. He's always been one of my favorite receivers. But you know, Mac Jones is out now. Who's their backup? Is it Jason Stidham still?
I think it's Hoyer, and then they got this guy's Zappy. So, I mean, we got some other rookie that they just picked up.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they end up doing. I mean, hopefully it's a speedy recovery for Mac Jones. You hate to see a young quarterback go down like that, but we'll see how the Patriots regroup from this. Yeah. So let's move on from that. We got the Bengals at the Jets, which this is obviously what most people expected here. The Bengals kind of regrouping after this 0-2 start. They get a real blessing of a game to face the Jets now. And I mean, 27-12, all they allowed was a couple field goals. It was it was a solid game for Burrow. Obviously, I mean, nothing special. He's still not picking it up to the level you would expect. I mean, even against a Jets team like this, but I mean, it's a win's a win, and that's all the Bengals needed. They needed to regroup. They played well enough. I mean, that's all you need here. And I mean, they're 1-2 now, so they just got more and more to build on from here.
Yeah, you know, when I saw that game, you know, the Bengals. At first I low-key thought it would have been a close game, you know, especially with that O-line. Joey B probably wouldn't have done anything. That O-line still being bad. Tyler Boyd did go off 105 yards for a touchdown, so that was good to see. Joey B, I don't know, man. I think that Super Bowl hangover is really getting to him, you know. That O-line's still very, very bad, especially with the pickup to Lolo Collins. Taking him from the Cowboys.
You would expect that to help him. I mean, him making the deal that he's nobody card in town, but I mean, it's
not good.
Same old.
I mean, hey, they still won by 10 plus points. What was that? They still won by 15 points, so that's still good. They still got a lot of regrouping to do.
It's just you gotta see it's
against the Jets, you know.
Well, like, I mean, you really. I mean, they got a lot of regrouping to do and see.
They do a lot.
What they're gonna do because their division. I mean, just how the Browns are looking. You know, the Steelers are probably going to regroup, and just
the Ravens. Yeah,
they got a lot to work with.
The Bengals, they do. And then this is another historic divisional matchup. The Eagles are the Commanders. Man, the Eagles just freaking hornswoggled these Commanders, man. Jalen Hurts looked really, really good out there. 304.
A wonderful early MVP candidate. Right?
He is one of the front runners. Devonta Smith went off today. 169 yards for a touchdown. He really torched that defense. You know, and then like looking at Miles Sanders, you know, just 15 carries, 46 yards, you know. None too special. You know, Jalen Hurts was doing what he does. Same with Devonta Smith. But man, probably scared of the Eagles right now,
Yeah.
especially being a Cowboys fan. But the Commanders,
you look at Jen, like we're saying, they're probably the early front runner for MVP. Just 340 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, just everything he's been doing, the way he torched the Vikings last week, is just, I mean, like you said, you as a Cowboys fan, you really get worried seeing this, because, I mean, just obviously in this time right now without Dak, I mean, sure, Cooper Rush is holding it down for you guys, but I mean, Jalen Hurts is just looking like he could help the Eagles just run away with this division, and
it could, but
see how that goes.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, they are doing well. Don't get me wrong, but the only 3-0, undefeated 3-0, and the Dolphins,
Yeah.
Expected from the Eagles, but Jalen Hurts
expected that at this point.
Yeah, this is probably the only team to be in the East for the Cowboys, but for the whole league, I would look out for the Eagles. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, moving along from that, we got the Saints at the Panthers. You see Baker finally getting a win with the Panthers against a pretty good Saints team, let's be honest. So, I mean, it's an important divisional win for them. I mean, this is something that obviously you hope they build upon. We both took the Saints here. I mean,
we did.
I mean, it wasn't looking good for the Panthers at this point, but hey, always nice to see Baker prove some doubters wrong here. And talk about it. McCaffrey had a solid game. He hit over 100 yards with 25 carries.
Not bad.
And just, obviously the Panthers were up big for a good while, but the Saints started a nice little comeback. It would have been nice to see them make it more interesting. I mean, just Winston had 353 yards, and only 1 touchdown toss. But Chris Olave, just one of those guys.
Olave, just shy of 1.
You keep looking out for him. He's possibly a candidate for Offensive Rookie of the Year here. I mean, he's making a name for himself early on, and obviously they fell short. But I mean, still, this was a pretty solid showing for both teams.
It really was. I mean, the Panthers, being the Saints were doing really well too, but. The Panthers still got a lot of work on. I'm not even going to lie. Baker Mayfield, he's still got a lot of recruitment to do. Not with just him, but the chemistry around that offense, man. Even that defense. That defense has been a little wonky, even with that offense, because, me, us, we love Baker. We want him to do well, but if we just can't get the chemistry going sooner, at least before week 6, I don't see the Panthers doing anything with Baker. And it probably should have stuck to Darnold, even though he's injured, but... other than that, let's move on to the next game. The Jaguars at the Chargers. Now, this one was another upset. Jaguars stumbled these Chargers 38-10. Justin Herbert, had a good game, just shy of 300 yards for a touchdown. James Robinson had 100 yards for a touchdown. Really got them going. He did get them going, but man, Trevor Lawrence, he really good. They snapped that.
He was making a nice little surprise. Obviously, it's the weakest division in football with the AFC South, but they're heading it right now. And I mean, who knows? I mean, football. I mean, there's always something crazy every year. I mean, you saw 2017 with Blake Bortles leading the the Jaguars to a winning season and an AFC Championship appearance. So, I mean, obviously, Trevor Lawrence hasn't gotten to those expectations that the whole league had expected for him, from being that number 1 overall pick, just being an outstanding player at Clemson. But I mean, this is a sign against just that Chargers defense that everyone's raving about, the Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson and everyone.
Derwin James.
He absolutely torched them, and even his receivers, which I remember the Commanders game earlier this year. I mean, the receivers were just dropping everything, and I just had my doubts about this team. It just looked like they were going for another 2-15, 3-14 season. But I mean, hey, look at this. They made some wonderful catches, and I mean, hey, good on the Jaguars. They're kind of starting to pick it up here.
Yeah, they are. They're one in the division right now. Really, their other competition is just the pretty much Titans.
Let's say Titans and Colts.
Titans
are struggling.
I don't see any comebacks for the Texans right now, but that's pretty much all you gotta worry about. But Trevor's looking really good. That defense of the Jaguars, looking good, looking really good. Good for the Jaguars, but let's see in the upcoming weeks if they can keep that up.
Yeah. And so let's move it right along to my game right here. That's the Rams at the Cardinals. This was, I mean, my Rams did keep this in check throughout the whole game. Obviously, they took a 10-0 lead in the first quarter right away. Just some really good looks. Obviously, Cooper Kupp got a real nice touchdown, and I really find it relieves me to see Cam Akers finally, coming back to his rookie year self. He had that really nice touchdown where he was just like stumbling, breaking tackles. I think it was something like a 12-15 yard run, and I mean, hey, he looked good. It's one game, but it's an important game against a divisional opponent here. Obviously, it's always a tough matchup against the Cardinals, but McVay has the upper hand historically. And I mean, just think about this. They broke a streak that had been going on for a good while. I think Cooper Kupp had like over 75 yards or over so many yards for so long, and even breaking that streak, I mean, you see just I mean, it didn't hurt the Rams at all because they spread out the ball. They used everyone, I mean, enough, and I mean, yeah, we came away with a solid win. I mean, there's a lot of doubts that I've had just after that Bills game mainly, and after almost collapsing against the Falcons. But this seems like a good ray of hope for a team that's like really honestly still trying to find themselves after a slight Super Bowl hangover, maybe you could say.
Yeah, man. I mean, I didn't really expect the game to be as close as it was. Kyler did have a good game, 314 yards. I low-key thought they were going to come back in the fourth quarter, but, that Rams defense stepped up.
Yeah.
They do better.
Red zone offense, man. I mean, they weren't finishing. They all field goals, just 4 field goals. It's a mix of Kyler probably not finding his best reads, but also the receivers were dropping the ball a lot. This is just something pretty alarming for the Cardinals that they got to work on.
They did. I mean, Hollywood Brown did go for 140 yards. I mean, still didn't help him get the win. Especially since Marquise Brown. He does have his fair share of drops that could hurt them. But yeah, Rams just that defense stayed strong. Jalen Ramsey coming in clutch and securing these Rams for the dub, going 2-1. And the Cardinals, they still got a lot of work to do. Especially after coming out that comeback win over the Raiders. That should have given them some life. But this game just shows that Kyler Murray really needs to step up for this team. So moving on right now to the next game. This was another close nail biter. We got the Falcons at the Seahawks. The Falcons came close, winning by 4 points. I really didn't expect this game to be, again, as close as it was. But, both defenses just weren't doing as well. And, fourth quarter was really boring. Both teams didn't score at all. Geno Smith had a really good game, 325 yards for 2 touchdowns. Cordell Patterson, though, I mean, they couldn't stop him. They could not stop him at all. 141 rushing yards and a touchdown. Kyle Pitts.
Fantasy, of course.
Kyle Pitts did well too, 87 yards. That offense, man. That offense of the Falcons stepped up this game. But, that defense wasn't good. Same with the Seahawks. That defense just was not it. Geno Smith, he did beat the Broncos, and, the Seahawks probably could have been well, but I think we spoke too early. It was week 1, but Seahawks still looking bad for them. Falcons, good for them too.
You say what you want about these defenses, but I mean, they held their own in the fourth quarter, as you said.
They held their own in the fourth.
On red zone, I mean, they struggled, obviously, both teams. But I mean, Mariota did what he had to do to keep the Falcons in this, and obviously keep them over the edge. This was one of the 2 disagreements I think we had that in our predictions, and I came away with this one. I just felt that Mariota was going to have the upper hand against Geno, and I mean, just look at this. Obviously that week 1 matchup was just against. I mean, now we see a somewhat fraudulent Broncos team that. I mean, it didn't really show the true self of the Seahawks, and just now we see that. Yeah. So I mean, moving on to what was expected to be the most highly anticipated game of the week, and it didn't live up to the hype. Obviously, it was a punt fest. The Packers at the Buccaneers. Just these historic quarterbacks, they didn't have it this weekend. I mean,
really expected
Packers came out.
man, but it was a boring game.
Yeah. And the Packers came out to an early 14-3 lead at half, and that was all they needed. They did not score at all in the second half. Brady was able to, he drove them for one more field goal, and obviously that touchdown at the end, which, what happened to them there? Obviously, it looked like they avoided a delay game that they should have had on that first one, but then you get a delay game on the 2-point conversion that ultimately killed the whole game for them, because they had to go from the 7, and at that point it's just a harder play, and they missed the 2-point conversion. Obviously they couldn't get the onside kick, and it just unraveled from there. We both took the Buccaneers, thinking, even with their hurt receiving core, it's just something that obviously once they get these receivers back, it's gonna be back to the same old Bucs. But honestly, it's pretty disappointing overall from these two teams.
It was disappointing. Brady still went for 271 and a touchdown. Russell Gage, 87 and a touchdown. That was really, really disappointing. For being America's game of the week, and only both teams combining for 26 points, it just shows that how boring it was. It also shows too that the both defenses were doing well. That Bucs defense, has been getting hyped lately, but they couldn't finish. But that Packers defense really holding them to 12 points was really, really good. Another thing that bugged me too is I start Aaron Jones again, and it gets me freaking 4 points. What is that, bro? 36 yards?
Predictable in fantasy football, man.
That triggered me, man. That's the reason I lost. Forget Aaron Jones. I'm just having him on the bench for the rest of the season. I don't care if he goes off. Fuck him. I don't like him. But regardless, it was a really, really bad game by both teams. Buccaneers, again, good team.
We're gonna be honest. Just the offense had an ugly game because let's see it. Obviously it was a pump fest, as I said earlier, but you got to say for the defenses, because Packers held to 14 points, Bucs held to 12. Obviously the defense did what they had to. It's just the other side of the ball. It just couldn't get it done. Yeah.
And speaking of pump fest, let's move right along to the 49ers and the Broncos. Another pump fest, atrocious, boring game. Broncos coming away with an 11-10 dub. Pretty sure that scoregami too, no? Scoregami. At least
I think I remember watching this. They said this is the second time an 11 to 10. I think so. But it's just you kind of expected this. You had originally thought that this would be a game where the Niners and Jimmy G would kind of maybe show out a little bit, but here you kind of see why they ended up going with Trey Lance. It's just obviously they both don't look like a great option, but you take Trey over what Jimmy did. He pulled an Orlovsky, man. He ran out of he didn't run out, but he just dropped all the way back out of the end zone. It avoided a 6, which is hey, good for him, but it was ugly on both sides of the ball for both teams, honestly.
It really was. For being a boring game and a really big pump fest, those punters really were the highlight of this game. But Jimmy G, 211 yards and a touchdown, not bad. Cortland Sutton did have a good game, just 3 yards shy of 100, going for 8 catches, 97. This was just a really boring game, but that Broncos defense really came in clutch with that forced fumble to steal the dub. The Niners were in back. What was it? They're inside their own 10, right?
Yeah.
I would assume, yeah, they were inside their own 10, and yeah, that Broncos defense came in clutch when they needed to, and yeah, they came in with that dub. They're 2-1. Russell Wilson not looking like the same he was in Seattle. I still think they got a lot of stuff to go over, but great win for the Broncos. And Jimmy G, he did well against the who did they play? Was it the Seahawks, right? Seahawks, yeah, good against the Seahawks. But moving on, Jimmy G's got to step it up for this team.
Yeah. All right, now moving on to the final match for this week, we've got the Monday Nighter, your matchup, Christian, the Cowboys at the Giants. Let's hear from you first.
Thank you. So this was a very heart-racing game for me since I wasn't able to watch the whole game. I had practice sadly, but I had to keep getting out, look at what's going on. So I would look at the good plays. Very, very happy that Kellen Moore is finally utilizing Zeke and Pollard splitting snaps. Why couldn't we do this at all? Why couldn't we do this? Like, I don't understand Kellen Moore feeding Zeke and Pollard right now, and then when Dak has no help, he's like, oh yeah, let's just feed it to Dak. And then when Zeke's getting no production, let's feed it to Zeke, no problem. That was annoying. It was really annoying. But this game truly showed that if we can utilize Zeke and Pollard good, would be phenomenal. Cooper Rush, another phenomenal game. 21 for 31 on pass attempts, 215 yards, and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, he's looking very good. 13 yards shy of 100 yards. Bounced back that 8-catch game and a touchdown. That one-handed catch, it was very, very nice. But he did have that one wide open drop. It was horrible. It was bad. And, you know, I don't know what else to say about that. It was there for him. Tony Pollard going for 105 yards. DeMarcus Lawrence racking up 3 sacks. Very good. Micah Parsons, man, was getting doubles all night. And he was still getting pressures. You can't stop Micah. I knew from the beginning we were going to beat the Giants. Because the Giants, as soon as they face us, a good team for now, they had no chance against the Daniel Jones doing what Daniel Jones does. Obviously, he had some good plays, some good throws, some good rushes. Don't get me wrong, but you know, he had the pressure on him. We did give him a good amount of time because our freaking undrafted rookie tight end decided not to freaking get down and kill time off the clock. But you know, Daniel Jones had the opportunity there. Could have led something. Kenny Golladay too. That's robbery right there. Hasn't done anything. I think he had 3 targets for 2 dropped passes after whining about wanting more playing time. It's really, really bad, but, you know, we beat the Giants. Good dub. Good divisional win. I hate the Giants. Hate them. But
obviously, I took the high road on here, and I
told you were going to regret it, my boy. Well, I told you.
I mean, the possibility here. But, I mean, hey, to my credit, this was a close game to start. I mean, obviously the offenses were kind of lackluster.
It was.
But, I mean, in the end, Cooper Rush really turned it up. That beautiful one-handed catch by CeeDee for the touchdown. I mean, that looks great for you guys, obviously. But it was a really close game until the Cowboys started turning it up. But I mean, Daniel Jones didn't look bad by any means, and of course Saquon, he's having this resurgence this year. I mean, obviously wonderful to see Saquon cooking again. I mean, I wasn't too positive. I mean, exactly what I told you. It comes down to just to Daniel Jones, his performance, and obviously the Cowboys came away with this, which was a bit more than expected, but I had to throw in one last disagreement in there last week, didn't I?
You did, and I told you, my boy. I told you were gonna regret it, and look what happened. You regretted it.
So, before we move on to the Week 4 preview, we're gonna go over our records in our predictions so far. Something we keep forgetting every week, but this time we're actually gonna do it. So, we both went 7-9. Our predictions have just not been good this year. I am back to 500 with 24-24 on the year. Christian, you are 22-26.
This is nasty, man. I'm telling you, week 2 screwed me. Week 2 hoed me bad, bro. Week 2 and last week.
This is my first week below 500, which, I mean, that killed me. A bunch of upsets. I mean, let's look at the Kansas City.
The upsets and the Chargers. Over, man. That's not fair.
I mean, this was something, right? I mean, I don't know. Let's hope we pick it up eventually, right?
This is the week. I'm telling you right now.
Let's go for it. And well, let's just get the next round of predictions started. Let's start with Week 4. Thursday night, the Dolphins head to Cincinnati with the Bengals testing out these new white helmets and bringing back those old white jerseys from a couple years ago. Yep. You know my take on these. I wish they would have went with their regular whites.
Man, you're a hater. Those jerseys are hard.
But still, those helmets are nice. So I mean, we'll see that. But not to the actual game. I gotta go with the Dolphins here. It's just just the Bengals are struggling. They even struggled against they didn't struggle much, but you know they played less than you expect from them against the Jets. And look how Tua's looking, just proving everyone wrong right now. I see the Dolphins not really running away with this, but I think they win comfortably enough here.
Yep, I'm gonna have to agree with you here. Dolphins can come out with this win, but Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are gonna torch that Bengals secondary. Eli Apple is gonna get burnt once again. Tua's gonna go off. I wouldn't expect this to be a close game. Maybe a nice, I would say at least 10-point win by the Dolphins.
And leave it at that, and just move on to the first London game of this year. We got early morning for us back in the US. We got the Vikings at the Saints. So this is something that they're two pretty good teams, honestly, and they're coming off of probably a game where they probably feel like they could have done more, obviously, but I'm gonna go with the Vikings here. I think Kirk has he'll step it up a bit. I'm thinking probably Dalvin Cook will have somewhat of a breakout game for this season, and he'll just really help propel Minnesota to a win. I do think Olave is going to keep his recent success going, obviously, but just won't be enough. I think Winston might throw a costly interception at the end here.
I'm going to have to agree with you here so far right now. I'm going to go Minnesota with this W. I don't know if Jay Jettis can bounce back from this, since most likely he might be guarded by Marshawn Lattimore. But Marshawn Lattimore does have his times where he does get cooked. So I would hope to have a Justin Jefferson come bounce back here. But I think Kirk's gonna go have a good game. I think this game's gonna be close, but I'm gonna have Minnesota walk away with this W. So moving right along to the next game, we have Cleveland at Atlanta. So this one, I don't know. This game should be very straightforward, but I'm gonna have to go Cleveland with this W. To be honest, Nick Chubb's been doing well. Jacoby Brissett's been proving himself. That Browns defense it has this little problems here and there, but they've been doing pretty decent. So I'm not gonna lie, they've been doing well. But it's Atlanta. I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta puts up a good amount of points on the Browns, but Browns are gonna walk away with this W.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna have to agree with you here again. It's I'm honest. I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Falcons. It's they weren't expected to do much here, but they're honestly, playing pretty respectably. Honestly, Mariota's he's looking all right. Honestly, this is just like a transition year at the quarterback position for the Falcons, and he's filling that role nicely. But just the Browns are turning heads right now with just how Jacoby's filling in, and it's pretty straightforward enough to me. The Browns are just in a better position. I think they're gonna pull away with this. So we'll move on to your game. The Cowboys having an early game this week. We got the Commanders against the Cowboys. Go ahead and give your take on this.
Gotta go with the Cowboys on this one. Based from how the Commanders are playing, Carson Wentz, he did have that one okay game against Jacksonville, came back, but I don't know, man. I don't think Washington, as much as I hate Washington and all the other NFC East rivals, I got to go with my boys. Cooper Rush doing really well. If Kellen Moore can get Pollard and Zeke active early, CeeDee Lamb, Noah Brown, they do extremely, extremely well. We can possibly blow out Washington once again. And our defense is really going to get to Carson Wentz. I really believe it. I got Micah and D-Lock both going for 2 sacks each. Hopefully another Trayvon pick. That would be really nice, but pretty straightforward. I'm going with my boys on this one.
Yeah, I'm agree with you here. I'm not gonna bet against Cooper Rush this week. Although I think there's talks of Dak having a possibility to sneak back.
Yeah, it's true. Dak might come back. He's not ruled out officially.
Yeah, not yet.
But
so,
I would want him.
This could be obviously coming back from an injury. This is a game that it's pretty favorable to ease him in, because it's obviously it's a lesser opponent, so it might be easier. Obviously Kellen Moore can experience a bit here.
Yeah, so you could choose that ruled out.
Experiment, not bad. Yeah, he can probably experiment with some different kind of play calling here, and I do think the Cowboys are going to come away with a pretty somewhat easy victory here.
Yeah, and we possibly might get Michael Gallup back next week, so that could be another huge addition to our receiving core. But go with my boys.
Yeah, so let's move on right here to our next game. It's another early morning game. We got the Seahawks at the Lions, and this is just two teams that are I mean, they're struggling right now, and you see the Seahawks. Obviously, they had probably just to fill themselves with an illusion that they might be okay with Geno, but it's not looking as good as they probably thought. And the Lions, it's just the same thing, the heartbreak after heartbreak. And to me, I think the Lions are going to come out on top here. I think it's just going to keep falling apart for the Seahawks. The defense probably going to struggle, and I feel like Amon-Ra St. Brown is just going to go crazy this game. I think he's going to have that connection with Goff, which is like, I mean, say I want about Jared Goff, he's looking pretty good. Just whenever he looks Amon-Ra's way, good things happen. Just as we love to see it, just a USC wide receiver just cooking it up in the NFL.
I'm gonna have to also come to another contest with you here. I'm going Detroit this game as well. Seattle. I mean, Geno Smith. He's okay right now, but I don't think he'll be able to lead the Seahawks. I had high hopes for him. Not gonna lie, but Jared Goff can get it going early. Like you mentioned, Amon-Ra St. Brown, if he can go crazy this game as well, I feel like Detroit can get away from his dub. So moving on to the next 10 a.m. game, we got Tennessee at Indy. Now, in my most opinion, I feel like this game is gonna be close, especially Indy coming with that big dub, and Tennessee also coming with the win, their first wins of the season. But I'm gonna go with the Titans. I feel like the Titans are gonna get away with this win. Derrick Henry looked good last week, so I feel like he could get it going early this week. Possibly maybe also a 200 rush game. I'm gonna go bold right now, but we'll go Tennessee Titans right here.
Yeah, bold pick. Obviously, these are two teams that seem to be struggling to start the year, but I mean they both gave big surprises last week, and I mean to me obviously it's a toss up here, and just I don't know, call it a bias for my favorite USC receiver, but I mean I think the Colts can come away with this. Obviously with a solid enough defense that the Colts have, I think they can keep Henry in check, and as long as they do that, I mean we know what happens with the Titans. They'll falter, and I think the Colts can come away with this here. Yeah. So yeah, let's move along to another early game. Got a lot of those here. We got the Bears at the Giants, and this one it's another game that both teams they're looking all right. I mean, obviously they're exceeding expectations at the moment, and to me, I'd love to go with Fields to have a good game, but I think the Giants are going to bounce back here after a pretty underwhelming game against the Cowboys. That was always going to be a tough matchup for them, but I think they're gonna make the Bears struggle a bit, obviously on the road here, and I think the Giants got what it takes. I think Daniel Jones has a nice little bounce back game here.
I went with Chicago. Now, this has nothing to do with my hatred for the Giants. I just feel that Chicago is the better team here. It just showed that the Giants, they're bad against good teams, right? But that doesn't matter, right? Chicago is not a good team, but Justin Fields, I do think he has the upper hand here. He does have more weapons. The receivers, Daniel Jones just has Saquon really on offense, right? The receivers for the Giants, Kenny Galladay.
Sterling Shepard for the year, so
Sterling Shepard's done. Kadarius Toney's there. He's good too. Don't get me wrong, but they don't have that good chemistry yet together. If Saquon can get going early and if the Chicago D can't stop them, New York may walk away with this. But I'm going with Chicago. I'm going with Chicago here, man. All right, moving on to our next 10 a.m. game. Jacksonville at Philadelphia. I feel like this is a no-brainer here, but sadly, I'm going to go with the Eagles here. They're just a better team against Jacksonville. I mean, they did do well. They did pull big against the Chargers. Trevor Lawrence looked good, but how Justin Fields is doing and Devonta Smith and that Eagles D looking somewhat good, I think Philly's going to walk away with this W.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, there's a big part of me right now that just seeing the Jaguars, seeing how they're just really exceeding these expectations. I really want to go with them, but I mean, I can't bet against Jalen Hurts right now. The way he's looking, I mean, he's just looking, I mean, insane right now. I'm really excited to see how he does against. I mean, this is probably going to be a decent matchup for him, unless the Jaguars just, I mean, fall back down to earth. But I think this is one of the games to look out for this week, and I see the Eagles coming out on top. Yeah, so move right along from that. We got the Jets at the Steelers, which to me this is just a matchup that is, I mean, relatively easy to call, and I'm gonna straight away go with the Steelers. This is probably something that, I mean, you would hope Trubisky can like ease his way, unless they make a call, which I mean I would not be opposed to seeing them maybe trot out Kenny Pickett here to give him an opportunity after Mitch is obviously not really looking too good right now. But I mean, sure, the Jets have had, I mean, their little glimpses, but I think the Steelers, regardless who they play in what situation, I think they're going to come out on top here.
Yep, I agree with you again. The Steelers are going to get I feel like they're going to run through the Jets, but I feel like this is the important game for not just the Steelers, but for Mitchell Trubisky, man. I think this is the game that shows where however Mr. Trubisky does is whether or not Mike Tomlin is going to put Kenny Pickett in. So I feel like if Mitch does not do good this game, Kenny's probably going to take over the spot. Regardless of a win, I feel like Mitch really, really is on the hot seat right now. But regardless, I'm going with Pittsburgh with this win. So other than that, moving right along, we got Buffalo at Baltimore. I feel like this one's going to be another good game. You know, the way Lamar Jackson has been playing, Josh Allen throwing over a good amount of yards. You know, his defense has been out, which is bad. But, you know, that doesn't matter. The way they played against the Dolphins kept it a close game, 2-point game, especially with that practice squad defense. But, you know, I feel like Buffalo's going to bounce back against the Ravens, and Buffalo's going to get this win. Josh Allen's going to get the upper hand on Lamar Jackson. I feel like I know Lamar Jackson's going to have another good game, but I'll take the Bills on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you there again. This is I mean, honestly, I'd really like to say the Ravens, and this is going to be a close game, probably the matchup to watch this week. But I just think even with an injured defense that the Bills have, I just think Josh Allen and just that high-flying offense is going to, you know, take a step back. I mean, not a step back, just a regroup, obviously, here. And I'm seeing just a great game from Josh Allen. He's probably going to just, I mean, really keep hooking it up with Stephon Diggs and, I mean, honestly, his whole receiver core. And I really believe that I mean, this last week was somewhat of a wake-up call that the Bills have to probably step it up here a little bit. Yep. And moving right along, we got the Chargers at the Texans, which is just a game that, I mean, you see the Chargers are obviously the favorite here, just, I mean, realistically, but the Texans, they seem to have some fight in them. Obviously, they haven't won this season yet, but after the Chargers came out of a really rough loss against the Jaguars last week, they're looking vulnerable. But to me, I mean, it's just another one of those bounce back games that Herbert's probably just gonna, I mean, really pick it up here, and I see the Chargers winning comfortably here.
I'm gonna have to agree with you here. No brainer. Chargers bounce back from that ugly game against the Jaguars. They're gonna run through Houston. I know they're gonna run through Houston. Jay Herbo and Mike Williams. That connection is gonna go well. That defense is gonna step up again against Houston. It's Houston. I mean, you don't really expect much, but Chargers are gonna walk away with this W as well. Justin Herbert's gonna have another phenomenal game. So moving right along, we have Arizona at Panthers. I feel this is America's game of the week, no, too, right?
I don't even know, honestly. I don't but it's a decent matchup. Obviously, you got Kyler against Baker. I mean, two really former Oklahoma Heismans, and I honestly, I mean, I'm gonna have to go with the Cardinals here. It's obviously our divisional opponent here, but I mean, the way the Panthers are looking, sure, they're coming off of a great game against New Orleans, but the Cardinals, they're the superior team here, let's be honest. And I just really think maybe Kyler's going to work on, you know, getting in touch with his receivers a little more than after a lot of blunders last week. And I'm going to have to say the Cardinals somewhat easily this week.
I'm going to have to agree with you as well. The Cardinals, I don't think the Carolina can I don't think Baker too. Honestly, I'm having mixed emotions, obviously, but against the Cardinals, with Kyler right now doing well, I don't think Baker's gonna outplay Kyler, especially how Carolina's D is not doing well either. Same with Arizona, but Arizona's got the upper hand here, and I'll have to agree with you and go with the Cardinals in this W.
All right, and just moving along from that, we got a great game here. The Patriots at the Packers. You know, it's just two historic teams, but obviously they're in different directions. We got I'm gonna have to, just honestly easily say the Packers here. The Patriots are missing Mac Jones. That's the key thing here. And if Mac Jones was here, I'd probably still say the Packers, but this really makes it easy for me to make this call. Pretty sure Rodgers is gonna, he'll have an improvement from last week. Obviously, it was a win against Tampa Bay, but it was an ugly win, and I see him picking up. And maybe for your sake, this goes well, but I expect Aaron Jones to maybe do a little more. Obviously, maybe see if you actually decide to keep him up for fantasy. But I think he would have a good game against this Patriots defense.
Yeah, I'm going to go Green Bay as well. Like you said, Mac Jones is the key factor to the Patriots, even though he has been struggling a bit. But, hey, if they got Brian Hoyer starting against Aaron Rodgers, come on now. You know how Aaron Rodgers is. He's going to walk away with his victory like nothing. Yeah, I feel like Green Bay's got this W secure, especially with that Patriots defense kind of like being up and down a bit. It's been a little inconsistent. But, hey, if Rodgers can make those connections with the receivers like Alan Lazard, and who else they got? I honestly don't remember what other receivers they got ever since Adam.
They're honestly a bunch of obviously they're not well known, but but they get the job done, the job done somewhat, and it's you got to see the Packers coming on top here.
Yeah, it's really the Packers. So moving on to the next game, we have Denver at Las Vegas. I feel like this is gonna be another good game, divisional matchup, but hey, Denver tends to struggle against the Raiders. As much as how much the Raiders have sold me so far, I feel like the Raiders are finally going to get this win against the Broncos. Finally, since the Raiders are like, come on now. They always beat the Broncos most of the time. But I'm going to go with Raiders, to be honest. I'm going to go with Raiders this one. I feel like Devontae could go off against that Bronco defense, even though Patrick Surtain might be on them. It could be a nice one-on-one battle, but I got Raiders again taking this win over Broncos.
Honestly, you see these two teams, they're probably after a couple weeks into the season, you see these as probably the lower teams in the AFC West. And I'm gonna agree with you here. I'm gonna say the Raiders, but I think it's probably gonna be an ugly-ish game, but still the Raiders come out on top pretty easily. But it's just both of the teams really got to pick it up. There's obviously a lot of game left in the season, but both of them are looking very disappointing considering the expectations they came into this season with.
Yeah.
And so moving on to the Sunday nighter, now this is probably the big game of the week. Got a rematch of Super Bowl 55. The Chiefs heading to Tampa Bay. This is a great matchup. Mahomes and Brady. You really love to see that. I'd like to say that Brady just has just a great bounce back, just like he usually does. And I might come back to regret this, but I'm gonna bet against Brady. I'm gonna say Mahomes. Just right now, the way these teams are looking, I'm thinking Mahomes is gonna come back after a somewhat embarrassing loss against the Indianapolis Colts. He really needs to do something. He probably hashed this out against this argument he had with Bieniemy, and I think they're going to be on the same page here. I think they're really gonna he'll get his revenge. Obviously not fully, but he'll get some revenge against the Bucs for in that same stadium where they lost the Super Bowl just a little over 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. Once again, I feel like Mahomes is gonna outplay Brady this time. Again, like you said, that ugly loss against the Colts was really, really bad. I looked bad on them. But, I feel like Mahomes is going to bounce back from this, let that game in the past and worry about this really, really important matchup. The Buccaneers, Brady, man, and then that defense doing good too. I expect a big game from Juju. I really need Juju to do well. If not, then it's really gonna not gonna help Mahomes at all. It's gonna be exactly like Super Bowl 55. He's tried his best, did all he can, and he had to work his receivers, but his receivers were just not cutting it. Not even Tyreek, but I got Kansas City taking this win. So moving right along, our Monday night matchup. This is your team. We got the Los Angeles Rams at San Francisco 49ers. Would you like to take the lead on this one?
I'll go right ahead and do that. And this is just one of those matchups that, to me, it always worries you as a Rams fan. I mean, we finally got that monkey off our back. We took them down in the game that mattered in the NFC Championship last year, which that was just the biggest relief for me. Obviously, that catapulted us to the Super Bowl and all that. One of the best days in my fanhood from the Rams. But obviously, regular season, we're on a 6-game losing streak against these Niners. I'd like to say that we're ready to end that streak too. And I mean, I'm gonna go with my Rams. I'm gonna say that Donald and just the rest of this defense gets it going and really pressures Jimmy G. And I trust that. I mean, obviously, as long as Stafford keeps himself in check on the turnovers, man, that's just always the thing with us. And if he keeps those turnovers in check, if he can get Kupp the ball but not force it to him, there's I mean, if we can utilize all our assets, because we have such a deep team. I mean, keep using Ben Skoranek at fullback, which is just something that I've loved seeing just these past 2 weeks since McVay discovered this talent Skoranek has for fullback. It's been working wonders for our offense, and this could open up a great opportunity for Cam Akers to just really build on last week and really just get us another great result against a divisional opponent. And just another key thing to look at is the Niners O-line is really struggling now because they just lost Trent Williams. So this is just another reason why I believe that our D-line is gonna cause trouble for the 49ers.
Again, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm gonna have to go the Rams on this one. Jimmy G. We already know how Jimmy G is under pressure, especially on crunch time. Especially with Aaron Donald on that front seven. The leader of that defense, along with Jalen Ramsey as well. I feel like Jalen Ramsey is gonna have another phenomenal lockdown game against those Niner receivers. There's nothing else much to say. You pretty much took the words out of my mouth and made it better. Rams are gonna get this dub. I don't really expect a close game. I feel like they're gonna get I'll say a comfortable win. I'll say I'll say the Rams will get a comfortable win. Again, 10+ points. Jimmy G, he's got to really step up. He's got to prove to those coaches that they're wrong for choosing Trey Lance. And if that's not the case, then Niners are going to have some quarterback trouble. But going with the Rams right now.
I would love to agree with you to say that we're going to win comfortably. But there's something about the Niners, man. It's something about the Niners. You guys always we're going to let it go down to the wire. I just know we are. I would love to see us just demolish them and just pick them apart. But just realistically, it's going to be a great game because it's just it's one of the biggest rivalries at this point right now, and just it's never a dull moment in a Niners Rams game.
Yeah, true, but gotta stick with the Rams on this one. All right, so that concludes the Week 4 preview. Hopefully, our predictions are pretty solid this time. I really hope there aren't any.
Let's hope it improves our record a little bit.
Hope some silly upsets. I hope I get above 500 this week. Because, man, Week 2 hoed me. And you know that. Week 2 hoed me bad with those upsets. Hoed you a little bit too, but.
Last week, honestly, it really hurt me too. Let's be honest. These games have been rough. They've been hard to call, but
the season has been well.
Hey, it's been a wonderful year. Just a lot of great matchups so far, and a lot of great comebacks and everything. So, just hope to see a lot more of that coming into this week.
Yep, gonna agree with you on that. So pretty much coming to a closure with this episode. We're trying to switch up this podcast a bit. We're gonna try and get maybe an episode in Sunday morning. You know, quick little mini episode, just recaps again before each game. Just give our final thoughts, and hopefully we'll go in with that. And David, any final suggestions, thoughts?
No, just go off of that. We're hoping to get you guys just a quick little Sunday morning chat, something along the lines of that. We'll just talk a little bit. It's I mean, obviously shorter than these hour-long episodes we've been having, but we'll have a quick little talk. Maybe throw in some fantasy. Just a quick preview after the Thursday night game, of course. But that's our plans moving forward, and that's gonna do it here for episode 5 of the Beans No Ball podcast.